Radio Split Ranch.
Hello and welcome once again to Radio Split Ranch, a monthly visit with the Capital Region's great broadcasters of the past and sometimes present. I'm Warren Garling when I'm not on the radio. A fortuitous lunch recently brought another great regional broadcaster into my line of sight, someone I've known for 25 years, but somehow had slipped under my radio podcast radar since we started this podcast over 4 years ago. And what a pleasure it's been to hear his story that I'm about to share with you. He was nice enough to go through his AirCheck archives and pick out some representative recordings of his growth in the business over 30 years. I know you're going to enjoy spending an hour with Jason Keller. If you ever want to be a guest on this podcast, there's a guy on the other end of the phone here with me today that knows how to do it. You sit down at lunch and you say, "Oh, I love your podcast," and when you talk to such and such about such and such, and you know, I learned a lot about radio from this guy. When you're able to quote back what you've done on the podcast, you're going to put the guy on the podcast. Jason Keller, thank you for doing that last week at lunch. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome, Warren. And yeah, I do my homework. I listen to your podcast. And I think it's important, the people that you've interviewed, because these are a lot of really entertaining, influential people. And I know the list keeps going.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different experience. And it's really fun to hear the insights from people we've heard on the radio in this area for so many years.
Absolutely. And now we're adding you to that list, and rightfully so. You've been in this market for a while and have, I think, a very interesting story to tell as to how it all came about and where it's headed. And you're in a good spot right now, which we'll talk about just in case folks don't know. He's on the radio this afternoon, right after we're done with this, but we'll get there later. So, Jason, tell me how it all started. Actually, where are you from?
I'm from Hyde Park, New York.
Oh, okay. So not too far down the river here from the Capital Region. And what sparked your interest in broadcasting, and how old were you and all that stuff?
It was the local radio host that I grew up listening to. One person in particular on K104 out of Poughkeepsie was Mark Bolger. He was the night host at the time. And there was just something so engaging and imaginative about his delivery.
Huh.
And then during middle school, we had to do one of those career reports.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose radio host. And I got up the courage to call him up on the request line, told him I was doing a school project. Could I interview him? And he set aside a time in his show and he could do it. And I interviewed my favorite radio host for this report, which just felt really surreal at that age.
I'm sure
with him, but I think what really stood out about that moment, in addition to doing the career report for school and everything, and this really laid down how I felt about this as my career progressed, is that it really makes an impact if somebody young is doing a report or a news article or anything, especially someone who's not a professional yet they're young. You can really make a positive impression on them, just how you treat them.
That
really stood out when he granted me that interview.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that story has been repeated time and again, not only here, but with other people I've met and talked to over the years. A lot of the folks that are on the radio have no problem telling a young fan, hey, this is fun. Yeah, you could do this. It's not terribly hard. And I was never discouraged by any of the jocks that I used to call up and try to win 45 RPM records from, so... and so you found somebody that had that same, mindset. I think that's part of what it takes to be a personality, I guess.
It does. And, you could ask 25 different people who do this for a living or did this for a living, and you're going to find, like most careers, but specifically with this one as we're talking about it, you're going to find so many different fascinating stories of how people just kept knocking on the door or kind of stumbled into the career, or somebody just happened to be in the hiring mood when you needed to be hired. And oftentimes that's how it goes. And so I did that career report. It just it settled with me. And I didn't pursue anything right away. I wasn't looking for opportunities at that point. It still was just this far off dream, but it spoke to me. And there was just something about the radio personalities, or just what I perceived to be coming from the speakers, that I felt a connection to. I didn't know how to do the job. I didn't even know how to get the job, but it was something was calling my name, and I I felt it.
Nice, nice. So when did you finally start doing something about it? Did you take some classes in high school that may have, helped you out? Like I made sure, since I knew I wanted to get into broadcast journalism, that I took a typing class, in high school. That way at least I got, at that part of it taken care of, which is obviously something that comes in handy if you know how to type real fast, But
Definitely.
how about you in high school? Anything that kind of led you in the right direction?
No, I was just a very social individual.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe that was part of the natural connection too, but I was certainly not pursuing anything that would directly line up with that.
Huh.
And I just knew it though. I knew that when I went to college, I did have a sense that I needed to work on writing more and speaking. And it just, the high school me was having a great time, but there wasn't much of a direction there just
Okay.
yet.
All right.
And
Yeah.
then when I went to college, I went to Plattsburgh State in
Ah,
Plattsburgh.
okay. Yeah.
And I recall when my parents helped move me into my dorm, my mom said, they have a school radio station here. And I heard what she said, but I was still too nervous
Sure.
to do it.
Yeah.
So it took me about a full year to
Wow.
get up the gumption
Hmm.
to go down there, and just happened to find really great group of people there. One of the people there is still a great friend of mine. His name is Bruce. He was one of the student higher ups, and he was, along with another group of, I guess, kids at that point, 19 or 20, just very encouraging. And I joined the radio station and started to do it. And actually, by the end of my college time there, I was in charge of the school radio.
There you go. There you go. Well, I have a Plattsburgh State radio station story to tell, and that is I told my son when he went to Plattsburgh, do not hang around the radio station. Okay. I had been in radio at that time for about 30 years, and I said, I know how much you enjoyed when you went to the station with me and all that stuff as a kid, but please, I know you're doing a communications degree, but go toward the business end of it, all right? And just don't hang around the radio station. And he didn't. He took it to heart. I mean, he was in the house. He knew how we struggled sometimes to make some money in this business. And at the same time, he found some friends at the TV station. So he winds up hanging out at the TV station instead. But again, decided not to go in his dad's path. And I was very happy with that. He's
Dad was trying to impart some wisdom.
Exactly. But, well, that's cool. So, hey, not bad, So you were there for all 4 years. And by the fourth year, you're running the place, huh?
All 4 years. And I thought about that. And I still think about that as just a lesson for all of us that you have to really sell yourself on. And that is reminding yourself to push and take risks. And if it feels uncomfortable, there's probably something good at the other end.
Good for you.
And
yeah,
I thought about how that trajectory started with me being kind of nervous about it for a year, and then finally jumping in and really, getting my footing.
Nice.
There. So
nice.
I actually, you mentioned broadcast journalism. My degree was in English with a concentration in broadcast journalism and a theater minor.
Oh, okay. Very good. Now, had you done any theater in high school? Had you performed on stage at all?
I had done absolutely nothing except socialize and go skiing and make people laugh.
All right.
That seemed to pretty much be my resume in high school.
Yeah. Well, that's nothing wrong with that, and it still got you, where you seem to be very happy. So, but not bad. So the Plattsburgh experience was good for you. My son actually only went for like 2.5 years there. He started at Hudson Valley, and then went up to Plattsburgh and started on the lacrosse field. So
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
It was very positive for me, and I was still the same person in college that I was in high school, but I focused in on making the most of my surroundings. And I got really into theater and student government and radio, and really just made the most, which is, I think, what most of us can, or at least our family members or anybody who cares about you, hopes that you can do.
Yeah.
And that is make the most of your experience.
Exactly, because you're going to get, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get back out of it. Yeah. And I don't know if this will happen in your story as we progress, but I worked for at least one person I went to college with, and I think a lot of folks can say, that's happened to them no matter what the industry. You make some connections, and you've got this thing in common, and you sometimes work with or for some folks you went to college with.
It is amazing how those connections happen, and I can even see it in peers of mine who graduated either with me or within a couple years. Many from that era of Plattsburgh State have gone on to some pretty amazing television, radio, film careers. And even those who didn't, it's just an amazing time in life. And if you're fortunate enough to make some friends, you really have a connection back to something that can't be replaced. And that's pretty amazing.
Okay. So did you work just at the college station while you were in college, or did you start doing anything part-time on, commercial radio? What was going on?
I was at the college radio station, which has changed call letters. And frankly, I'm not sure if it's even a broadcast radio station anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Could be an online station. I felt a little out of touch with it, but WPLT, and it had a pretty high frequency for a college station. It was 93.9. And that was where I worked. I did not work anywhere else at the time. And as I was getting closer to graduation, I again had this thought that I'm going to make this happen. That was just me. I had this sense that it was going to happen, not just magically, but I thought I'm going to make this happen.
Cool.
So around the time I graduated, well, that actually is also another reality check. Is you graduate, you're doing all these great things, and for my story, like part of the radio, theater, student government, you name it, and then you graduate. And it just gets quiet.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing going on if you don't make anything going on. That was pretty real. I remember that feeling.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I remember my roommate worked at J.C. Penney at the local mall. And I just remember thinking, I'm sitting on the couch. My buddy Tim is at J.C. Penney. I'm just waiting for him to come home so I have someone to hang out with. And I thought, you should probably get moving on a career.
Well, I'm glad you realized that sooner rather than too late.
Very soon. Very soon. So I had started working on a demo with my college music radio station, on-air segments, and just trying to put something together. And again, I knew I was going to do this. I just didn't know how quickly that feeling of nothing is going on, you don't make something.
Yeah.
And I started calling area radio stations between Plattsburgh and Burlington. And also, I really think about this in fairness to anybody who's that age now. It is harder to, I think, get people's attention in certain ways because you can't just call up radio stations the way you could. You're going to get sent to voicemail or they're just going to ignore you. I mean, you can email and such, but, to understanding that as time shifts, techniques shift. And at that point, you could still call program directors.
Yeah. And once again, the way mine started and many others, it's not always what you knew, okay? And you may have been prepared for it, but you weren't sure until it was somebody that you knew that actually, extended the hand. That's how I got working at the age of 16, is just a guy that I'd been talking to on the phone that worked at a radio station. And he said, I need somebody to sub for me this weekend. And I forgot to, or I guess he couldn't get somebody. And so he goes to his boss and say, I've got this kid. I've been talking to him for a year or so on the phone. I think he could come in and do this. I'll train him. I'll be responsible. And he went out on a limb for me and it, started a 51-year career. So go figure.
I love that story. And what you just said there is proof that you need to create your own unique story. And that's how all of these performance broadcast type stories happen. There's always somebody that has to open that door a little bit. Yep. You need that.
Yep. So how did it happen for you? What goes on?
So I called area program directors, did wind up getting a variety of interviews, and one program director in particular stood out as very cool, very smart, and he seemed to really appreciate where I was coming from. And his name is Steve Cormier. And at the time, he was the morning host and program director of WIZN in Burlington, just right across Lake Champlain.
Sure.
And he wound up bringing me in. We had conversations, and he listened to my demo, which was really weird and self-admittedly just a strange collection of audio sound bites and uninspired breaks.
Okay.
But I think anybody who has a few years on you knows that that's kind of how it starts.
Sure.
And so he wound up hiring me in late summer, early fall of 1995 to do weekend overnights.
Okay.
And that was an incredible experience. And you really get the opportunity to be bad when you're on at 2 a.m.
Absolutely. Yeah. And not be fired because again, your audience is smaller and half the time the person that hired you is asleep by 2 o'clock in the morning, so
All the above.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Unfortunately, that training ground has pretty much, disappeared on radio because of the way it is today. But back then, that's exactly how you usually got your start.
I also remember a very profound moment that I did not expect. And it was my first on air by myself to do a break or two by myself. And again, I found a very interesting crew at WIZN, and I was starting to learn about what radio personalities were like or what an actual radio station looked like. And there was a guy, his on-air name at the time was Shoeless Bruce.
Okay.
And he was super smooth, had this really, low register voice, and was a good instructor. He really helped me.
Nice.
And at that time, now it's like, whatever, one of those nights, and it's 1:30 in the morning, and he's like, okay, now it's it's going to be your turn to do it. I'm going to leave the studio, and here's how you do it. And I just had this moment where I didn't want to do it. I thought, I worked so hard. I talked my way into this radio station. I did the whole thing in college. I did the career report, when I was a kid, and then I was in there, and I just felt really out of place, and it shocked me. And I thought, you have to do this. Like, you work to get here. And it took me, more than a couple times to get into it. And it wasn't anything like you hear the phrase imposter syndrome.
Okay.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was just, it felt kind of overwhelming. And then I talked myself into it, like, no, this is something you want to do. And I started getting comfortable with it and did the weekend overnights and then started being asked to do other fill-in. And I took absolutely every shift, every opportunity I could. It felt like almost like my own personal radio grad school. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah. And, that's the story, again, of a lot of the folks that I've talked to and met with and worked with over the years, is that you just don't say no. Okay. I mean, and I think I mentioned this to somebody just recently on one of these podcasts that, if the boss says, and by the way, every other Saturday you're going to mow the lawn. All right. I mean, I know how to do that. And it was just part of the deal there, and that's, if you want to stay there and you want to work there, you just hardly ever say no. And you're going to get an experience out of it and obviously some appreciation from the higher ups.
This mowing the lawn must have been a previous technique because Mark Bolger, who I mentioned to you that I interviewed for my career report, he had talked to me about, he got into the radio station and he talked about mowing the lawn.
There you go. Well, it must have been a thing.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've only worked at one or two stations that actually had lawns, so,
Okay.
But anyway. Well, so you're at IZN, is that what it was in Burlington?
Yes, 106 WIZN.
Yeah. What kind of music were you playing?
It was a really popular rock station. So
Okay.
at that point in the 90s, it was a mix of things that were on the alternative charts, but also a lot of classic rock.
Nice.
And also just kind of an independent Vermont flavor, like specifically curated for that area.
Smashing Pumpkins, Bullet with Butterfly Wings on the Wizard, and continuing more nonstop rock on a commercial-free Christmas day, the Talking Heads with Once in a Lifetime right here on the Wizard, 106 WIZN. Got all Christmas music for you while you're waking up, unwrapping your presents, or you're just in the mood to hear a little Christmas music. Well, that is brought to you today by Marcia and the staff of American Healthcare Software. So thanks a lot, and I hope you're having a good holiday. Maybe there's a few things you didn't get or you still want to get for somebody. I've got an idea for you. Maybe you should go take them to see some WWF action. Pro wrestling. They've got a world tour de force coming right here to Burlington. January 8th, that's a Monday night at Burlington's Memorial Auditorium. Melissa Etheridge, Your Little Secret, on the Wizard of Rock, 106 WIZN. She did a great time performing that song on The Late Show with David Letterman the other night. She's quite a performer. Let's continue the 40 minutes of nonstop rock with Bachman Turner Overdrive. Hey You, on the Wizard, 106 WIZN.
And how long did you hang out there?
I think that was maybe 11 months. And again, the weekend overnight situation was really what a great thing to learn. And just, you're kind of left to your own devices late at night just to be there. Even if you're not doing anything nefarious, you're in the building. And
Yeah.
one more thing that really stood out to me was one of the first couple of paychecks I got, even though it was, a small paycheck, the fact that I had my name in that, that shelving system that people have at jobs where the paychecks are, and I saw
Yeah, right.
my name and a paycheck, that just really stood out to me too. So
There you go.
I think I really take in a lot of these not so small elements, and they mean a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they do, especially that first paycheck and that first little mailbox hole that's there in the wall. Absolutely, yeah. How are you actually eating? I mean, you're working, a couple of weekend shifts. Did you do some Monday
Yes.
through Friday stuff as well to put food on the table?
Yes. Well, my roommate Tim and I, the one I said mentioned, who worked at J.C. Penney
Yeah.
at the time, and then he was working somewhere else. So we shared an apartment, and it was pretty inexpensive to live in Plattsburgh at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Burlington at that point for myself was just too expensive. So we shared an apartment, and there was cost involved, like crossing the Lake Champlain. There's ferry costs and everything. I mean, it was
Sure.
such a wash. But
Yeah.
I was working for a television production company as well called Path Television, and that was run and owned by a friend of mine, still in touch with him. His name is Pat Heafy, and he too was a Plattsburgh grad. And one of the famous bars in Plattsburgh is called Monopole. I was out one night, and I had done a voiceover for him like a couple times, and he worked for the local cable company. And I think he had a lot more confidence in my television production abilities than what matched reality. So he was only a couple years ahead of me, but he knew that people that came from the school were, usually on top of things. So
Yeah.
he hired me to be a production assistant. So
Cool.
I did a lot of television production work at the
Nice.
same time.
Yeah, no, that's great experience, sure. And could lead you, I mean, between the radio and TV production, you could have led you in a whole mess of different directions. So good for you.
Hey, and you know what, Warren, the way you put that is accurate because they were both kind of going side by side. And even at that time, what he was paying was more than the radio station, but the radio and that field was just speaking to me more.
Mm-hmm.
So when the opportunity to go full time at another radio station came up, I went with that because it's what I wanted.
Good for you. And where was that?
That was, famous call letters in Albany, WQBK. And at the time in 1996, that was known as The Edge.
Right.
So it was, they had purchased another signal too, 103.5. So it was 103.5 and 103.5, 103.9, The Edge.
And what were you doing for them there?
I got hired to do middays.
All right. So you stepped right into some full-time work there. Excellent.
Full-time work and daylight, which seemed very scary as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the bright lights of the daytime. Plus, at the time, that was Albany's Howard Stern affiliate. And he was wildly popular. And this is already after his book, Private Parts, came out. But the movie had not yet come out. But he had such a massive fan base and was syndicated all over the country. And coming on after Stern as well, of course, there's the music and everything. But my main goal at that point was I do not want to be the terrible local guy after the morning juggernaut. That was kind of my initial goal.
Yeah, there are a lot of TV shows that have gone by the wayside over the years that had terrific lead-ins, very popular shows. But boy, if you couldn't keep that audience, you didn't last long in that time slot. So they obviously you had to live up to, the audience you were left.
Yes, and I also benefited. This I didn't see coming, but I benefited in a big way from the fact that the Stern show never just ended at 10 a.m. like a traditional morning day part. It always went to 11:15, and I was offered a ratings bonus system for middays. And so my bonuses were always based off of Stern having at least an hour.
Wow. Now, I didn't realize that, not being a huge Stern fan at the time. So I did not realize that he didn't believe in the clock?
No, and the affiliates didn't care.
Yeah.
And it was a common thing. and I just was ready to start my midday show whenever it happened. And that was it. Like I said, if your bonuses are based off of 10 to 3, I didn't mind because Stern had such a huge audience.
Sure.
And it factored into middays.
Not too shabby. Did you ever send him a thank you note?
Well, we did wind up chatting one day. At the Edge, there was a lure, it seemed, and that was morning board ops seemed to just have an issue. There was like an oversleeping plague
Oh, boy.
that seemed to happen. And so it happened with a few board ops, the people running the local show, making sure the commercials run and everything.
Right.
And there was one morning where my buddy Ryan Patrick, who worked at a sister station, he had called me up like 7 a.m. We both lived very close to the station. And he said, "Are you listening to The Edge?" I said, "Why? What's going on?" He goes, "It's just commercials back to back to back."
Oh, boy.
I was like, "Oh, wow. Oh, okay." So we both decided to just drive up to the station, which was 2 minutes away. And something happened with the board op. And so we just, we quick got the show on. And our program director, Dan Binder, called us up and said, "Whatever you do, do not answer the hotline. It'll probably be the Stern show." And of course, just being us, completely ignored his directive. And 5 minutes later, the hotline rang, and I was like, "Hello, it's Jason." And he was just all eager to disobey an order. And he said, "It's Gary Delabate from the Stern show." He
Sure.
said, "What's going on?" And I gave him the quick story, and he goes, "Well, Howard's going to want to talk to you." And I said, "That's fine." And so Howard put me on, or the show did. I think they thought I was a board op at first, and I quick clarified that I was the midday host.
Okay.
And so went on, explained what happened. I tried not to throw our board op Todd under the bus.
Under the bus.
He was a good enough guy, but I kind of knew that he was probably going to get let go after that day.
Okay, we're back on the air in Albany. We haven't been on since 7:15. This is our board operator, Jason. What happened?
Hello, Howard.
What went wrong, Jason?
Just went wrong with our board up. So
What, he overslept?
that could be it. So
Oh, you don't know?
Seen him.
Oh, you haven't seen the guy?
no, I haven't seen him yet. So
So how did you end up down at the station?
employee that I am, I came in and helped get your show on the air along
Thank
with
you.
the assistance of one of my coworkers.
Oh, great. What happened? The PD call you?
No, actually, just we heard it didn't sound right on the air, so we came
Thank you.
in.
Thank you. Well,
That was great.
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed how when sometimes we're not on the air, like in some of our smaller markets, because the board op oversleeps. I'm always amazed at the program. Nobody sort of has a system worked out. If it wasn't for this midday guy here, we'd still be off the
Yeah,
air.
thank goodness he just happened to be listening.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Jason.
Not a problem.
Let me know what happened to our board op
You got it.
so we can fire him.
Okay, well, we're in
Thanks.
touch.
Unless he's dead, we're firing
Well,
him.
hopefully he's not dead. We don't
Yeah.
want that.
Well, you might wish he was when I'm done with him. Thank you.
Okay, Howard.
We
bye.
fired one guy in Albany already because we had to put him in rehab.
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah, we gave him a second chance, but that didn't work out.
That guy made quite a name for himself in Albany. That's
I'll
the
bet.
bizarre part.
Yeah. All right, Jason.
All right.
Take care, man.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks. All right, so we're back on the air in Albany. We apologize to all our fans in Albany for
Yeah, we're just joining you.
about an hour and 15 minutes. We've been off the air, and I guess you missed it. We had an actual Martian visit us for over an hour, but
We made contact.
we made contact, and you missed it because the board op overslept. Unbelievable.
The impact of that was really fascinating too, because I wound up getting calls and messages from other people that I knew who listened to Stern on other affiliates, and hosting events in Albany. Like some really diehard Stern fans came up to me and they're like, "We really appreciate what you did for Howard that day." I was like, wow. So it was a quick education of just how popular he was. Just another quick introduction of the behemoth morning man and the shadowy cast.
And how powerful the medium, was for a long time, which it's kind of lost some of that luster. But, you were smack dab in the middle of some stuff there that just doesn't happen anymore. So good for you.
Yes. And the fact that the Stern show found out, not because of, online or anything we'd find out now, but Albany fans were calling down to New York City, tell him all of this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. And a great memory too, for your career there for sure.
Oh yeah. And then, I did middays there for 3 years and went through different program directors, different styles. That I think is part of the learning curve too, learning how to work with different program directors when you've been at the same station and somebody new comes in.
Sure.
But all really fascinating people that I learned so much from. There's Dan Binder, there's Kelly McNamara, then there was Rod Ryan. So everybody had a different style, but I learned a little something different from everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly how to take it, because and obviously learning how to roll with the flow, because if they find that you're not following what they expect of you now, which was different from the guy before, you find yourself out on the street. That happens to a lot of folks.
Most definitely. And with the Edge, that was such a great station too, because it was already this very powerful entity, and I really think where alternative music is, just that format was really humming along at the mid-late 90s. So I feel like I just kind of was fortunate to catch a wave and be a part of a really popular station in the area in that time frame.
Helps set you up for the future a little bit. So where does that lead you?
The company then, there were some ownership changes, company changes. This is where, at the time, Clear Channel comes into the picture, pre-iHeart. And so one of the stations that was in the cluster was the smooth jazz station.
WHRL.
WHRL 103.1.
Yeah.
And they decide to flip formats and take a few of us from the Edge and put us on this new station on WHRL called Channel 103.1.
I remember it, yeah.
And they want to make that more alternative. And then the Edge was going in a slightly different rock direction.
You're listening to Channel 103.1, your new music alternative, WHRL Albany.
Shock me with that deviant behavior.
A Clear Channel station, Channel 103.1. It's time to visit the land of the lost.
Yeah, it's Jason Keller. Welcome to the land of the lost again. Celebrating the songs that just don't get the love anymore that they deserve. This morning brought to you by Mullen Mayflower for a quality move with no surprises. Trust Mullen Mayflower in Schenectady, Glens Falls, and Pittsfield, Mass. Mullen means moving. So the group I have for you today, celebrating 20 years together as a group. So they've done lots and lots of stuff. I think a lot of people would know their work from the theme song, which actually they got a Grammy for Malcolm in the Middle, called Boss of Me. But this one goes back, we'll say, about 1990. So They Might Be Giants. This is Birdhouse in Your Soul on Channel 103.1's Land of the Lost. It's Channel 103.1's Land of the Lost. Going back about 12 years now for They Might Be Giants. Band has been together like 20 years now. Now, if you want to score a free trip to LA to see the History of Punk show, I suggest you don't stray too far from your phone. Stained on Channel 103.1 with Fade. It's Pearl Jam on Channel 103.1. So, yes, the magical sounds went off for you to call for the Anarchy in the LA show. I was not kidding. I'm telling you, when I say don't stray far from your phone, I'm telling you the truth. JC, you are caller number 9.
Thank God, I'm caller 9, Jay. You can stop calling.
How many people over there at that office are calling?
Just 3.
Sounds like you got a real serious workplace going on over there. Well-paid employees, right?
Of course.
What do you guys do over there?
Not much.
Exactly.
I was the first and last voice on that station.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I was there for the format flip, and then later, 10 years later, I was there for the format flip.
That's
when
wild.
They decided to take WHRL and turn 103.1 into the FM simulcast of WGY.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and isn't that crazy? Boy, it's weird.
You're always the last to know.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was let go from GNA in early '86, I didn't know for a good 6 months a reason why. I'd been there for like 11 years. There was no real good reason why. And then I see they go up for sale. And I said, well, then that makes sense. I was one of the highest paid people there since I'd been there so long. And so, so sometimes, you're right. You don't see it coming and you don't know a good reason for a while, and then it presents itself.
Yes. And whether it's your story or this one, or anybody else who's done this, you often don't know, and it's being done while you're doing your work. I mean, this is not that uncommon for a lot of jobs, but it is jarring, though. Even if you have an optimistic outlook, which I do on a lot of things.
Sure.
But it is jarring when you finish up your morning show and then they're like, "Hey, Jason, you got a minute? You want to come down the hall?" Yeah, sure. And then you're like, "Why is everybody so quiet? This is getting weird."
I talked to somebody not long ago, and they knew they were, they hadn't had a raise in a while, and so they knew they were, had to be in line for a raise. So when they invited him down to the office to talk, he's expecting a raise, and they fired him, because you just don't see it coming. There it is. Yeah. So let's back up. You're at the channel for a while, and then obviously go away and come back later. But or were you there for 10 years?
I was there for the entire duration. Did different day parts, hosted all the concerts you could imagine, all the events.
Wow.
Met a lot of great on-air people, and had a great run there. But also, by the time I got the walk down the hall, that Jason, you want to come to my office moment? It was shocking in a way of like, okay, so in terms of human patterns, I come here every day and I do the thing, but I also was thinking, what is next? At that point, I was really the only live person left because the others had either been let go through a reduction in force, or they had started bringing in voice tracking people from other markets. So, all you have to do is the math. And I thought, someday my day is going to come. So when that station wrapped up, I did feel like it was time for that sitcom to end.
Okay. Interesting.
So I did feel that, but still, in reality, it's shocking because then you have to go on another career journey after that. But yeah, it was shocking, but at the same time, it was another reminder that there's just a great humbling around every corner.
Yeah, and no guarantee in life, And as I'm sure you've heard from any industry, you're not irreplaceable. If you choose to leave or if they choose to let you go, they're going to put somebody else in your spot in most cases, and then things will continue. Yours may have been a little different there when the station actually changed over to be a simulcast, but bottom line is everybody's replaceable, and we find that out in the hardest ways sometimes.
For sure, and some people are harder to replace. But yes, the machine does continue to roll forward.
Yep.
And to me, what really felt, I want to use that phrase again, humbling, but I don't think it was the humbling I needed, but it was a reality of how big and how small you can feel. And that is probably about 3 weeks before the station flipped formats. I was one of the hosts of this big concert that we called Big Day Out. I know that phrase and that brand has been used many places, but we had our Big Day Out concert at SPAC. And I was at that point, it's like, I guess, 2010, introducing some really popular hard rock bands of the moment that worked on our station and had like wildly successful albums. And I'm on stage at SPAC, hosting in front of like 10,000 people and just having a good time with that. And then I feel like it was a week later, I was doing one of those radio events that pay the bills, but no radio person really wants to do. And it was a week after that Saratoga concert where you're riding high. And I was doing some 2-hour appearance at a tire store.
Okay.
And I remember our table was set up and the speaker was on. And one of the managers just came over and he was like, "You think you could turn that down a little bit?"
Oh, geez.
And I just hosted a concert back, and now I have to turn this speaker down to tire shop in Latham. What's going on here? And then, 2 weeks later, the station flipped. I thought, this all feels about right.
Yeah. There you go. Absolutely. Now, that's interesting because this is around the time that we finally met, and we didn't, cross paths all that often because I really only came in on the weekends to record, weekend stuff on. At one point, it was, the River, and then it became, I moved over to TRY, and so. I knew very little about what the other stations were doing because I wasn't involved in the politics of it because I wasn't there every day, but we crossed paths a few times during that time because I was there, on the River from 94 to 2002, and then Clear Channel comes in and I get let go, and within a few months I get a call from Randy McCartan, who'd been the PD at the River at the time. He said, "They've just given me TRY, you want to come back?" So it's one of those things where I learned very early on you don't burn any bridges, and I didn't.
Plus, with yourself, like, with your reputation, your impeccable delivery, I mean, for real, what program director in the area wouldn't be like, hey, let's get Warren back on it?
You got the interview, Jason. You don't have to butter up anymore. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. And I loved every minute I was in the business. I loved it. I really did. And, despite the fact that my wife would say, really, you didn't act it sometimes, but I did. There's not a moment I would change. And when it came to an end, it just seemed to be a fitting time to go a different direction.
Well, I think that's also embracing as best as any of us can that none of these chapters last forever.
Yeah, it's true.
Hard truth, but something that, we all think about. And unless you own the radio station and you can guarantee yourself a slot, it's pretty subjective.
That's true, yeah. So what happens with this? Okay, this, it's going to happen eventually. You're going to have thoughts about maybe there's something else out there for me to do, which is what my wife said after I left full-time radio. Try something else, and it worked out. So what do you think? What are you thinking when this is happening?
Well, so also during that time, I had also, you just mentioned being a part of different stations. I had also been a part of WGY.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can reverse back a little bit, early 2000s, because we're all in the same building, I wind up, as you do in these clusters, you meet everybody in the halls.
Yeah.
Because you work at different stations, you know everybody. And I wind up forging a connection with Don Weeks.
Oh, wow.
WGY.
Good for you.
Yes. And what an incredible talent.
Oh.
And, a seriously celebrated host. And he should be, the late Don Weeks. And I think at the time, I was probably to him like the younger rock guy. And to me, he was a guy who was just kind of top of the heap.
Absolutely.
That's kind of how I just viewed him. I'm like, Don seems to be he's a real somebody, and he's earned it. And I remember popping my head in the studio, and I always saw endless notebooks, and I could not believe how much prep he put in. It was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And, I popped my head in while he was on a break and probably stuck around too long, but I was just fascinated talking with him.
Sure.
And so wound up, knowing him and Chuck Custer and his producer Wendy at the time. And so just forged this connection. I think a similar sensibility on humor and just the art of broadcasting and connecting with people. Those fundamentals. And it doesn't matter like what generation you're from or, what stage of the game you are. Those are pretty constant. I wind up going down to Mardi Gras one year, and he has me do some call-ins, and it worked out really well. I wound up getting invited to speak at his WGY 20th anniversary at Glenn Sanders' mansion.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, and there were so many great people there, and I just thought, like, wow, okay, this is great. I tell you what, who else is impeccable, and I'm glad he followed me and I didn't follow him, was Chuck Custer from WGY.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh my God, he is so fast and so funny.
Yep, very much so. And he would really be enjoying our lunches if he lived in the area any longer. But he's retired to the South, and but he still keeps getting an invite. And I told him I'm going to keep him on the list because you never know when he might be able to get in the car and come on up and join us. Oh yeah. He likes to keep in touch with his old friends, and so we keep in touch there.
So then there was another moment where, again, this is Don and Chuck and producer Wendy. They had me on the following year that I didn't go to Mardi Gras. It was 2001. And we just came up with this thing called the Mardi Gras Home Kit. And they called me, and I was just at my apartment. And again, we just had a really good time. And it was part of that connection and definitely an admiration I had for the GY Morning Show and Don Weeks as their leader at that time.
Yep.
It's time. Oh, listen, we're even going to, hey, listen, forget the top five right now. This is exciting because yesterday was Fat Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
It's been Mardi Gras. It's just been Mardi Gras madness. And we're going to turn this into we're going to turn this into a regular feature.
Hide the children.
Because I can't get enough of this guy right here. I think he's from our sister station.
Channel 1031.
It's our buddy. It's our pal, Jason Keller. Yay!
What's up, Don?
How are you? Jason Keller, how are you?
I'm sitting in bed, man.
Okay, now I got Too much Mardi Gras?
Well, last year I went to Mardi Gras.
That's right.
I witnessed the real thing, and this year I couldn't make it, so I decided to do the kind of like the home version of Mardi Gras.
Now, what's the home version of Mardi Gras like?
So first off, what you do is you start by putting your face in the toilet. Okay, just to revisit the good time. Don't sit on the toilet like a normal person. Stick your face right in there.
Why waste time?
Why waste time? Go right to the basics. Then what I did was I put on a nice new shirt.
Yeah.
And I made a bowl of jambalaya, and I spilled it on my arm. And then I took some beers, and I spilled that on my pants.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
So far, so good.
Yeah, and then what I did was, since I didn't really have anybody over my house,
right,
I took some of my leftover beads, I put them on myself, then I flashed myself in the mirror. So it's pretty cool. I got the homegrown kit. I got it copywritten and everything. You know, it's good.
No, wait, no. What about is there a parade in your neighborhood for Mardi Gras? How do the neighbors celebrate Mardi Gras?
Well, actually, here in downtown Albany, where I live, it's pretty much a freak show anyway.
There wasn't a parade?
No, I tried getting one going, but nobody got it.
Oh, hang on just a second.
Yeah.
Hang on just a second. Shut up! Shut up! I'm sorry, Jason.
That is exactly what happened last year. I'm talking in my friend's backyard. I started yelling at some strange dog in New Orleans.
Oh, man.
So just to recreate that, I'm sitting in my bed in my underwear, and I'll yell at my cat. Damn, enough! Get off the drinks. I work hard for that. It's quite a scene here, Don. It's the one-man Mardi Gras kid the day after.
I got to tell you, you brought the entire season alive for us. I mean, I felt bad missing Mardi Gras, but now I feel that I haven't missed it. I haven't missed a thing. Haven't missed a thing.
Until you hang with me, Don.
All right, buddy. Jason, thanks.
Thank you, Don.
Jason Keller. It's 8:14 in the morning.
I just had breakfast the other day with one of Don's old buddies, Joe Gallagher. And we were talking about how we sometimes would get calls from outside the market, are you interested in coming to, here, there, or everywhere. And we talked for a few minutes about how many times Don Weeks got offered jobs in major markets and said, no, I'm a family. I'm staying here for the family. And that's what he did. He wanted his kids to grow up in the same spot. And he liked this area so much. And it was so good to him in return because he was such a talent that, he stuck around. And good for him. I mean, he'll be a legend always in this area.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I even gave my mom one of his autographed cookbooks.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. I wound up getting a show on WGY.
Okay. Now, I don't remember this, so tell me more about that.
I don't think it's something that I barely remember either. It just, I feel like I've buried it in a way. So it was, I believe, 06 to 07.
Mm-hmm.
And I had done some fill-in on WGY, and there was some movement of hosts. So Andrew Wilkow had left. Al Roney had moved into another slot, and then it opened up an evening slot for 1 hour, 6 to 7 p.m. So I do the show, and it's a talk show, and you're smack dab in the middle. At that time, it went Rush, Sean Hannity, then this local break, then the Michael Savage show. Some very big personalities, and all kind of going in a similar direction.
Sure.
And I was not really into that, but I got this show. It was challenging because I had my 6 a.m. morning show and then this 6 p.m. evening show.
Yeah, yeah.
And the content did not borrow from either. So it was
true.
Something different each time.
Yeah.
And so doing a show every 12 hours for about 8 months was just driving me nuts.
It had to be. Now, this was talk, right? Is that what you were doing? Yeah.
Politics and current events.
Wow.
And yeah. And then so eventually Chuck, who was the PD at the time, Chuck and the station decided, I think about 8 months in, that they were going to pick up an extra hour of the Michael Savage show.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, I felt such relief because I was not going to quit, even though it was driving me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those moments where, in that moment, when that show went away, that talk show I was doing, I made, in the moment, less. But I felt like I got my life back.
I can understand that.
And
sure.
I could focus back on the other station that I was working at. But I'm still proud of that experience.
Well, you should be. Anytime you can put WGY on the resume. I mean, I slid it in there because I was on for about 10 minutes every week with Joe Gallagher on Saturday mornings. I would come by after I did my voice tracking for TRY, and we would just shoot the breeze and help him fill in a half of a segment. And I made sure that somehow people knew that GY was a place that I had stopped, even if it was only for a few minutes a week, but
you still did it though.
I still did it, and I'm proud of it. And I got some great air checks of the days where Joe and I would just go off on crazy tangents together. So
if you want, from listening to Joe Gallagher when he was on GY doing all those shows and just meeting him in the halls and everything, you got to have your improv chops up if you want to roll with Joe Gallagher.
You had to know how to, again, roll with the flow and take it. And we got to know each other pretty well. We did that thing for probably close to 20 years. It was the mid 90s, and I was there till 2020. So I mean, it was probably over 20 years that I would stop in almost without fail every week for a few minutes. And so, great memories for sure, and a lot of fun. And it's always great to break bread with Joe when we can.
Oh yeah. So something that I also took from WGY was, no matter what I do, even every day now, there are moments that are challenging. I think back to a couple of different jobs I had, and GY is one of them, where it seemed like such a pressure cooker and there was so much going on that it reminded me of what I'm capable of on a personal level that maybe can't be quantified. But you think, you know what, I did something that was really hard. So this thing that I have to do today that's hard may not actually be as difficult as that thing I did in the past.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah. You stood the test of time and realized, if I can do this, I can probably tackle anything. Good for you. So where's this all taking us? Where are we going after this?
So GY is just, that's for like less than a year. And then that station, WHRL, channel 1031, goes off the air. And then I'm into the job market, and I was a little burnt out on the radio topic.
Sure.
So I declined a couple of offers, and this too is a classic mistake. You wind up saying no to a couple things, and then it seems like no more buses are coming.
Yeah, the phone stops ringing, and that sort of thing.
Or anything.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, maybe I've said no too much or overestimated my own worth in the traditional workplace.
Okay.
That's how I felt. So then there was a stretch of trying to figure out some stuff. There was some unemployment. Then there was classes. I started taking all sorts of different classes, between free classes at the library to learn computer programs, then non-credit classes at Schenectady Community. Then I started taking graduate classes at UAlbany. Like, I was committed to learning more.
Well, good for you.
I wind up working at like a lobbying firm and a law firm, all in like marketing and communication positions.
Wow. I mean, that's almost as crazy as what happened to me. My first job after 17 full-time years in radio was as the marketing director at a CPA firm. And who saw that? Who saw that coming? It was just, wacko, and it led me into another whole career in sales for 12 years after that, which was a whole different, can of worms,
Yeah.
But
again, it's, I think we all have to tell ourselves this. It's easier said than done, but that we're all capable of a lot more than we think we are.
Yeah. And, thank goodness my wife had, the smarts to say that to me one time. There's probably stuff out there that, you haven't thought about that you could do. And if it weren't for those jobs that I had after full-time radio, I went back part-time on radio within a few months, but I would not be able to stand here and do that, sit here and do this. I'm sitting. And because I wouldn't have made enough money to retire, to be very honest with you, if I had kept going in the direction that I was in broadcasting. So I'm, very happy that it happened. And yet I still got my fix on the weekends, part-time for, about 30 years. It's great.
Yeah, there are definitely ways to kind of satisfy the earnings, depending on where you're at in your field, like the earnings versus I still want to touch that creative thing that comes to me naturally.
Yeah. So, but it obviously leads eventually back to some broadcasting, at least, from the last I heard. So how's that come about?
Well, I was working at a law firm, and I had, like the office and wearing a tie every day. Like the whole thing.
Yeah, that was fun for me. I had to go out and buy a couple of suits and some sport coats and ties, because in radio, I was wearing RCA T-shirts, RCA recording artist, stuff like that. And
I'm with you, man. I had to buy pants, everything.
So what goes on?
So I was working at the law firm, and I'd already been connected to and had done some previous fill-in work during this stint at WEQX in Manchester, the long-running heritage alternative station out of Manchester, Vermont. So I was already connected there, but I had turned down an opportunity to work there full-time because I really wanted to keep pushing myself in another career direction. They understood. So I continued to randomly do some fill-in for a while until that just kind of I had to focus in on the newer jobs. But, you stay connected to people and you have a good reputation, or you just keep in conversations with people, funny things happen. And one day I was at that office and I got a call from Jeff Morad, who is the EQX. Well, he was at that time becoming the EQX program director, and we were already friends and knew each other. And he left me this voicemail hey, Jason. He's like, I want to talk to you, and I could hear in the tone of his voice, I knew something was up.
He wasn't inviting you out to the movies.
Correct. And at that point, I really had kind of pushed radio and some other interviews I had that just didn't seem to materialize, and other things. I'm like, you got to focus on other things. But that day at that office, I remember walking around a little different. I thought, this might be the time for me to leave this place. Because even though I'd learned so much there in a relatively short amount of time, I kind of felt that I was probably going to be leaving that place soon for something else. I just didn't know what yet. And I met with Jeff and Amber Miller at the time, who was program director, but she was leaving for something else. We all met. Again, we all knew each other, and they mapped out what they were looking for the next person at EQX. And I thought, you know what? I think this is the time to go back.
Good.
So I accepted it, and I became the afternoon drive host. And this was 2013, and I am currently still the afternoon host, 3 to 7, Monday through Friday, and also the production and imaging director.
Nice. Well, once again, it shows that this is probably where you need to be. I mean, obviously, you don't work at a place for 12 years and obviously not be appreciated and have some success and obviously enjoy yourself.
That's a good way of putting it, and we definitely have a very good crew here. And in addition to the afternoons and the production, I mean, this is a standalone station that's been on the air since November 1984. So it is a unique operation.
Yes.
It's fascinating. We're always learning stuff about the history of this station. I also host on the weekend. I took over after another host just went in a different career direction. I took over the Sunday Rewind show, which is Sunday mornings, 9 to 11.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Relax, a song that was such a phenomenon in its time, in addition to the MTV play and the radio play. They were selling T-shirts that said, Frankie says this, Frankie says that. Something you would find in Spencer Gifts at the mall. And we all know the mall has changed so much since that height of the mall culture in the 80s. Yet, I got to give full respect to Spencer Gifts. They are still there. Going to the mall looks a lot different. Spencer Gifts, still standing. Depeche Mode and New Life. I'm Keller, your host for the show. We are so excited to welcome The Fix to Empire Live in downtown Albany. It's coming up very soon, Friday, April 4th. This is a rescheduled show from last December. Try and win some tickets. We do have a guest list all next week from 10 to 3. Let's enjoy The Fix right now on the Sunday Rewind. Joe Jackson, It's Different for Girls on EQX. Now, here's a set of variables that we don't see very often. A song that you could play on the Sunday Rewind that samples another song that you could hear on the Sunday Rewind. This is Soho with Hippie Chick using the beginning of the Smiths' How Soon Is Now.
Every host does it a little different. I would say it's primarily music from could be the 70s to the early 2000s. And I really love doing that one because I love the music and I love putting it together, and just another part of the radio station. And there's a lot of these specialty shows here, but that one seemed like I was built to host that one. When the opportunity came up, I thought this is going to be pretty natural fit.
Well, as I look back at this, and I'm, just learning some of these details now, you were at, just a few years back at a heritage radio station, 50,000 watts, 100 plus years old. And now here you are at, once again, another station that has made its mark in this market. People say, wait a minute, they're over in Vermont, they're part of this market, and you are. My boys, I've got two boys in their 40s, you're all they listen to when they're in, when the one from Manhattan's in town. And so obviously you're at a place that once again is unique and benefiting from your presence there.
Thank you. And it's always great to hear, like you just mentioned, your sons. And this is something actually, since we just had the 40th anniversary last year, and we really did a deep dive into listener participation of telling stories about the radio station and celebrating the audience along with the music and the actual physical entity. Is we keep learning about this radio station through the audience, because people will roll through and say, I used to listen here, or when I lived there. And it's really interesting how much, this whole topic, even the whole podcast, like radio and people connected to it. Like we have so many choices clearly for entertainment, but there is I still believe in it, the magic of the radio.
Yeah. And you have an online presence as well.
Yes, we definitely have a lot of activity with with streaming online, smart speakers, the EQX app. We definitely have continued to grow our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok presence. You got to go where the people are, but at the core, this is true radio station with just one station to focus on. I mean, it's really an anomaly, as we all know. Just
absolutely,
clusters and big companies. And I know people at those companies work hard too. It's not about trying to slight down. Just saying, this is really unique. This is the only station in the building.
Yeah. Well, the nice part about radio today is that you can take it anywhere you go. I mean, I would listen to whoever was subbing for me when I was on vacation in Florida a few years ago, just to make sure, he's not messing up my hours on Sunday afternoon.
I was gonna say, were you air checking them?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So at least I could come back and I'd say, I would never say something like that on my show, and we'd have fun with it, But yeah, you can do that now, and so no matter where people move, they can keep their favorite station wherever they go, and that's just part of what it is today. Very different from when I lie in bed at night and try to pull in radio stations on the little transistor radio from Chicago to hear what real disc jockeys were doing.
But
stuff like
it's
that.
really, I think it's great to have that imprint, and maybe somebody who's coming up now won't have that.
It's true.
Listening to the radio, like trying to pull in and everything, but I think it's great to have those layers based down for your love of radio. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Jason, I'm just thrilled that you came to the lunch last week, and it just within seconds of talking to you, I'm thinking to myself, why haven't I interviewed this guy yet? He's been around here, and I don't want to say forever, but it's a long time. You've been doing this in commercial radio since the mid '90s, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mid '90s. Well, and that finally the schedule worked out, and I getting those invites to come to the lunch with all these other luminaries and fascinating folks. And I thought, one of these, I'm going to make it. And I hadn't seen you in a while, too. So I, too, am glad this connection worked out. We could have this conversation.
Me, too. And I really enjoyed learning more about how you came up and how it all worked for you. And you are a unique voice on a unique radio station, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that's there's a lot to be said for that. And you should be, I know you're proud of what you do. And we're proud of you, too, from the radio community here, for sure.
Warren, thank you so much for that.
Radio Split Ranch.
What a kick getting to enjoy Jason's take on radio as a calling and career. I was especially blown away by his air check of guesting on the Don Week show on WGY. To get Don laughing like that as he did is really a tribute to both entertainers. I thought it would be fun to end this month's time travel with one of my fun Saturday morning appearances on WGY with Mr. Joe from the Weekend Show, as he used to say, Joe Gallagher. I alluded to this in my conversation with Jason. It was always a treat for me for a couple of reasons. First, it was live radio, which I really hadn't done since voice tracking became the norm for a lot of part-timers in the early 2000s. And second, I got to match wits with the talented Mr. Gallagher. And let me tell you, I don't think I ever won one of those matches, but it was so much fun trying. We're joined here on this air check from April 25th, 2015, by newsman John Craig, whom I believe missed his real calling as an air personality. He was a newsman extraordinaire, but he really has such a great sense of humor. I hope this brings a smile to your face until we all get together again next month. In the meantime, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation will match it with another $55,000. I'm Michael Barr, Bloomberg Radio.
Whereas he arrives each weekend morning prior to 6 a.m. to prepare his show. Whereas he gets the pre-show jitters, and he's known as Derek Jitters. Whereas he proclaims to have his show prepped. Whereas, when asked where is his show prep, he replies,
"Whereas, who is you to whereas me?"
Whereas it is now resolved that this is Joe Gallagher.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I love those.
What is that show prep of which you speak? What is that?
That's what we whereas he prepares his show prep in wherein.
Isn't that redundant? Preparing your show prep?
Wait, what?
Preparing your show prep.
Oh, preparing
your show preparation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Whereas, where did you come from? How about where did you come from? Where?
Schenectady.
You ever sat through a resolution? We were talking about it last Sunday. You ever sat through a resolution? When they whereas,
yeah, I have, yeah. And you're saying get to the point.
Jump kick that stuff out of here. Do some work in the assembly or legislature. Get some work done.
Now, you wouldn't be saying that if they declared a Joe Gallagher Day.
I wouldn't want a whereas.
But that's how they do it.
Huh?
Yeah, that's how they do it. If you want a Joe Gallagher Day, you're going to have to, go through the whereases.
I don't want a whereas. Don't give me no whereas. I want to hear about no whereas. Okay, I just want to get to the dessert, and that's usually what it does. It's between the dinner and the dessert.
Exactly.
I don't want to hear about no whereas. Okay. So anyway, by the way, you work at our sister. You were Chris Warren.
Last I checked. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. Anyway, Chris, welcome aboard.
Well, thank you.
Beautiful day today.
You didn't recognize him on the bottom of my glasses?
I didn't even see you in there. Because,
because you're wearing my glasses. I said earlier we could switch glasses if you really want to check them out. Here, I'll come over right now.
No, John, that is bad. I'm not going to do that. I learned as a little boy,
what?
Don't be putting on people's glasses. Don't make me do that. Because, get away from me, get a little wrecked. No, I don't want to put those on. No,
good show prep
it's
radio.
Bad for your eyes. My mommy... And
where are you, Joe?
Don't hit me on the head. He's hitting me on the head now.
Put the glasses back on.
He hit me on the head. Luckily,
you wouldn't try other people's glasses on?
Come here.
Your mother told you not to try other people's glasses on?
Don't be putting other people's glasses on because if their prescription is stronger than yours, it could impact you. That's what I heard.
Not for a second or two. Jeez.
When you just wear them for a
so
few
now you're
moments.
telling me my mom was wrong. Well,
yes, just like you can go swimming after you eat, and too much TV's not bad. Well, maybe that one's not.
Maybe that one's
not so
that
good.
might have been right. Yeah.
Well, maybe it wasn't my mom who told me. It was somebody, and I
radio bit. He can't even go along a couple of seconds.
Might have been our local city council member.
I think you'd see as well out of these as I see without them. Which is not very good.
I would gather that
24,000 vision. That's what I have.
24,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Chris,
they just stopped measuring.
Chris, he had glasses, but he got rid of his. Now he doesn't wear them anymore either.
That's right.
What about mine?
No, that's fine. I just need the $5 cheaters from the grocery.
Good for you.
Store.
Did you get LASIK?
I'm fine. No, I had cataract surgery, and they put lenses in when they took the cataracts out. And now I don't need glasses.
What do you mean lenses?
Distance. They put magnified blend. They put my prescription in.
This has been Ophthalmology Corner.
So they're there forever?
Well, until they have to play with the cataracts again, which can happen, I guess, more than once in your life, depending on how long you live.
Oh.
Yeah.
John, you could avoid looking like you do now if you...
But this...
All you need to do is get cataracts.
Yeah. My brother had LASIK surgery.
So,
yeah, I've not had that yet.
No.
Well,
I got the. Never mind.
No, I
It's
I
not
asked
worth it.
John earlier today if his wife was aware that he had glass because he wore contacts.
Yes, he hardly ever wore glasses.
Yeah, 'cause
you obviously did you take your lenses out at night and
Every
put the
night.
glasses on? Yeah,
Yes.
I did
Well,
that.
that's
too for
nobody's
many years,
business
yeah.
but his and his wife's if he takes his lenses in or out. That's rude, Chris. Sorry, John.
So if she sees you after dark, she knows that you also
Yes,
wear glasses.
that's right.
If she sees you in the Santa
And luckily, she woke me up
Claus
this morning because I would have been scrambling to get in here.
Wait a minute. Your wife woke you up this morning?
Well, she came in. It was 3:40 this morning, and she said, "You have to." And I said, "Yeah, I got the alarm set for 4." So,
Oh.
Don't you hate it when that
You
happens?
don't get an elbow? I get
20
like an
minutes you
elbow.
missed out.
I get
You
it.
never get those 20 minutes back.
no, you don't. I laid there and just bothered to get up.
And I feel bad for Chuck and Kelly because I wake up every morning. Our alarm goes off first thing, and I have to say things to them as I hit the snooze.
Oh,
And I want to apologize both to Chuck and Kelly right now for that. I mean, there's nothing against you personally. It's
Right.
just the idea that, and then I do it the second time. We hit the snooze twice. I wonder if
You
they're.
wonder how many people are doing that, though,
It's a
really.
Chuck and Kelly. They must be
those
getting-
poor guys. They must
You know-
get tired of that, yeah.
Today we were talking about Chuck and Kelly, and the fact is that our weekend meteorologist Bill Dagger provides us good weather.
Mhm.
And I said yesterday we had terrible weather. How could Chuck and Kelly should have been embarrassed that we had that kind of weather yesterday? Because their job is to draw the good weather out of the meteorologists like we do on the weekend.
Okay.
I mean, we could have bad weather right now, but you know what I do? I draw the good weather out of Bill Dagger.
wow.
Nice.
But Chuck and Kelly, for some reason, and they should be embarrassed over what happened yesterday, and they owe an apology to the Capital Region.
I couldn't see the good weather. I didn't have my glasses on.
So, Chris, what's new with you?
I don't know, 30 bags of lawn rakings
Oh,
last
yeah.
weekend. 30 bags. I counted them. That's
30
That's
bags?
how anal I am. Yeah, that was a
30 bags.
long weekend last weekend. But I don't have to. I'm done now till the fall. So I mean, that's cool.
Well, let's switch to John. John, have you done any bags of lawn?
I only have bags under my eyes. Thank you.
Do you do any raking at your house?
No, I rent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you know, it's almost worth.
Everybody wants to buy a
I still get out there and rake a little bit. And actually, my daughter now, we did it in the wintertime. We shoveled, so we got our own little shovel.
Yeah,
so I'll have to get our own little rake, and
There you
maybe we'll
go.
get out there and clean up a little bit.
My-
But luckily, my landlord comes by with he and a couple of guys once a spring and does some spring cleaning.
My granddaughter got out there with a little rake. There was a little mini rake we got her last year.
That's
and,
fun.
Yeah, it lasted
Yeah.
about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Right. All right, Daddy, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
My younger son, Morty, he had a little lawnmower. He used to go around, follow me around with a lawnmower. you know?
Yeah.
And now that he's older, I want him to get to use the lawnmower at all.
Yeah.
I can't get him even near the lawnmower.
Yeah, my son's that phase lasted about, one summer.
Right.
Where each of them got to the age where they could do it. And I said, and I'll pay you. And it lasted about a summer. Then they went off and got regular summer jobs the next year. And
Sure.
I was
Well,
back at it again.
Paid better.
In the days,
Yeah. True.
parents, they made us, I think our kids have it easier today because, but back then my dad wanted me to mow the lawn. I mowed the lawn. Now it's, we're easier. You don't want to mow? Okay, you don't have to mow the lawn.
Oh, yeah? That's the way you brought your kids up?
Huh? Well, yeah, they're bigger than I am now.
Well, that's true. They do get to that point.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But now Jamie Roberts works at what station
Yes,
are you at again?
Oldies 98.3 mornings. Yeah, she's on every morning, Monday through Friday, and Saturday afternoons.
He's just bad. You're bad as John Craig.
I know.
I didn't ask
I heard John give the time and date of his.
I asked for a brief summary. I
bowling
didn't-
You mean Huck Finn's Capital Region Bowling with only a couple weeks to go, 10 a.m. on My 4 Albany tomorrow and next Sunday?
Did you see Modern Family this week?
No.
It took place in a bowling alley. It was a lot of fun. And it made me want to get back out there and bowl. I
See,
used to
there
be
you
in the
go.
league.
He wants to quit. He shouldn't quit.
I have. I've retired forever from bowling.
Really?
My mother-in-law beat me at a game, and I said, that's it. And I wanted to let the bowling ball fly, the bowling shoes. My wife said, hang on to everything. Talk to John Craig.
He'll talk you
There you
down.
go. That's
He'll talk
right.
you down.
That's
Yeah.
right.
John is a bowling host, she said. He's a co-host of a bowling show, and John can probably talk you back into it.
You probably
now,
could.
I haven't bowled in 4 weeks.
That's
Wow.
unfortunate. I
That's-
think you can
that's
do it.
too
Why?
bad.
Because I haven't been in? You could have called me. You could have emailed me.
I mentioned it to you a couple weeks ago in the hallway. Do you remember that?
Yes.
You blew it off.
No, I did not blow it
didn't
off.
care.
You said I'd wait for your therapy when you back in on the news.
You
because
said-
I think you were deliberately delaying bowling. You didn't really want to do it.
I do like to bowl. Well, I did. I don't anymore after my mother-in-law beat me.
You need to practice.
My mother-in-law got 44.
Maybe you need my glasses.
Be humiliating.
Maybe you can see the pins better with my glasses.
Oh, I bet you can see them. Yeah, I bet you can see
the ones over at Spare Time Latham right now. Yes, I can.
You can see.
There's a misrack on lane 26.
Hey, remember those glasses they used to advertise where you could see through walls?
Yes.
Did they ever work?
X-ray glasses? No, Joe.
My mom wouldn't buy me some. They were. You could go look through clothes too. Supposedly.
Supposedly, yeah. That's how they advertised it.
That's right.
In the back of the
Did not get a pair.
Magazines. Yeah.
You bought them?
No, I did not.
John, you bought them?
No, I wanted them.
Come on.
But I had to be. I was 13.
Well, how do you know, Chris? They don't work.
Well, he's got you there.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose since I've never tried them, I suppose they could work, Joe.
And you asked your mom to buy you see-through so you could see through clothes?
I didn't tell her that part. So I could help her. If I saw her in the kitchen, I could see through the wall. Didn't work out that way.
Hello, Mary. How are you? Well, John, you've got weird glasses on there. Oh, my eyes are not that good, Mary. And then, I personally used to see the ad in the magazines, but I never sent away for them.
Right. Me too. What?
Oh, no, never mind. Anyhow, so here we have a sunny day. We're going to enjoy being, finally getting in. Last week was very nice, too, though.
Actually, it was.
It was a beautiful weekend.
Well, you know what was really weird, though, and the forecast was dead on. Last Saturday, they said it would be nice and warm and sunny, and somewhere early afternoon, the wind would pick up.
Right.
Well, of course, it picked up while we had a few piles of leaves raked together. And I swear that wind came through, and it was the first gust was like 50 miles an hour. And everything we had that we hadn't put in bags yet just went all back on the lawn.
You probably said to those leaves what I say to Chuck and Kelly when I hit the snooze button.
Yeah, it was along those lines. Yeah. Actually, you heard the whole neighborhood groaned. Everybody that was out, you heard everybody yell.
I know. That's annoying. That is very, very, very bad.
It was crazy.
I know I had something I wanted to.
It's probably time for me to go, Joe.
That might be, but the thing I wanted to, by the way, the Yankees broke the Mets' 11-game win streak.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I in a way, I'm a Yankees fan, but I was.
You always root for the underdog. Yeah, right. The Mets. I mean, they deserve some good news. They're having a great start to their season.
They're good this year. They're great.
Yeah. And as are the Red Sox. They're right up there with everybody else.
Yeah, and I'd asked John if he saw the game, but he didn't have his contacts in. All right. Well, anyway, Chris, you will be on tomorrow.
Yeah, right at a little after 12 noon when Casey Kasem's done with his countdown on Oldies 98.3.
All right, and as I said, your cohort Jamie and I will be in Albany at the Children's Hospital this coming Thursday and Friday morning, 10 to noon. Chuck and Kelly, 5:30 to 10. It's all for the children, the Kid Cares Radiothon we do every year.
Yeah,
it's really, really
Jamie
nice.
loves doing that. It's a great thing.
Oh, it is. And, it's to benefit the Bernard and Millie Duker Children's Hospital at Albany Med. And we hope that you'll be just as generous as you've always been. Again, Thursday and Friday, Chuck and Kelly, 5:30 to 10, then Jamie and I from 10 to noon at the cafeteria. And our sister station, The River, also very involved in
At the cafeteria?
At the
are we going to hear you on the air at all if you're doing it from the cafeteria,
stop
Joe?
That. No, stop. No, I'll be there. Don't worry, and I won't be eating anything at all.
Okay.
But it's always a great thing to do that, and it's being presented by Keeler Motor Car Company, Price Chopper, and Freihoffers.
Terrific.
Well, Chris, it's good to see you again.
Always fun to be here, Joe. I enjoy this.
Yeah, and nice to see you without glasses. You don't need them.
That's true.
Okay, and John Craig mentioned earlier that I have glasses, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need to mention that on the air. Yeah. It's nobody's business.
Right.
Okay.
As long as I have Andrew show me the door, I'm fine.
Yeah. All right, he's over there to the left.
Okay,
bit,
thanks.
I think. All right, thank you, Chris. It's 8:50 WGY.